Jack, I was a lot happier to be on this microphone after a Lions victory versus a Lions loss last week. I'll tell you what.
Oh man, so much sweeter on Monday being a champion.
So much better. Your
so
week
much better
on Monday, based on this is just me personally, but maybe you guys relate to this. Your Mondays, it's when you wake up Monday morning. It's never great. You got the work week and everything, but when your NFL team won on Sunday, or your fantasy team won, it's just a little bit easier to get out of bed that Monday morning, I think.
It's just a little sweeter. Just a
little bit better. Your breakfast tastes a little bit better Monday morning versus when you're at 6 o'clock in the morning, you're eating your oatmeal and you lost. It's like, oh, God. But
yeah.
Anyways, I'm so happy football season's back regardless. A lot of good games this weekend in the NFL. NCAA, Colorado State was crazy. I didn't even stay up to watch the whole thing, but I think it's so cool how Colorado is such a big spotlight now.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch that game, but I'll probably watch the highlights tonight. I heard it was crazy.
I got to run the highlights too at some point this week in full. But good week of whiffs too. D-backs took on the Magic. D-backs needed to win all three to get the 1 seed, and the Magic didn't have Grant. But against all odds, the Magic got the job done for me and the Mallards, and we got the 1 seed, so I'm pretty pumped about that. So we're going to break down that series today. AJ Ackerman is going to join us to go into detail on the series as well as his coming into the league and what his experience has been like. And other than that, going to be a great episode as always. So this is the Pipe It Up podcast. Cue the intro. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pipe It Up podcast, the official podcast of MLW Wiffle Ball. And this week I am virtually joined by both Jack Aigner and AJ Ackerman, first time Pipe It Up podcast guests. Thanks for joining me, fellas. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on, AJ.
Thanks for having me.
This is probably the most MLW fans have ever and maybe will ever hear AJ speak. I don't know. I wouldn't say you're a super talkative guy, but you're a nice dude. I got to know you a little bit throughout the weeks at the Meadows. I will say, AJ, one of the funniest things, and I honestly related to it, was I forget which series it was. I think it was your guys' second or third of the year. It was before the All-Star break, I know. And it was somebody's birthday at the field. Maybe it was Jimmy's. I can't remember who. But then, like, under your breath, I heard you say, like, something about your birthday. And I was like, oh, yeah, when's your birthday? And you're like, it's today. I was like, today's your birthday? You're like, yeah. I was like, happy birthday. And you're like, thanks. And you just didn't want to broadcast that to anybody. And I found it hilarious because I feel the same way on my birthday.
Yeah, it's for some reason, I've just never been a big, like, birthday celebration guy. I don't know.
What's your take on that, Jack?
I don't know what it is. It's just... Yeah.
My take on AJ not being a birthday guy,
just people being a birthday or not a birthday guy in general.
Yeah. I feel like generally speaking, you get to a certain age where the birthdays are less exciting, and it's more like, yeah, it's my birthday. Like it's just another year here. Versus when you're kind of in those teen ages, it's like that's all you can think about is your birthday. I don't know if AJ was different as a young lad, but oh no, he's shaking his head no. He's always hated celebrating his own birthday.
So here's my deal with it, and AJ, let me know if you agree or disagree, but I think the problem that I have is yeah, sure, some of your like family members or best friends will know when it's your birthday and you'll receive those happy birthday texts, but I don't want to be the guy who like walks into a room and is like, it's my birthday, like just to get the happy birthdays back. I don't know. To me, it's like uncomfortable. Like you're seeking attention almost. And I'm not much of an attention seeker at all. You guys might think differently because I am a quote unquote YouTuber. But I don't know. To me, just like bringing up that it's your birthday to then get the happy birthday back, I find just to be awkward for me. I don't know why that is, but I do.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't know. It just doesn't. It just, especially like this week. I think it was on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday or something, and it's just like I got to go to work tomorrow. Anyway, it just doesn't. It didn't feel like a. I don't know. It doesn't feel like a special day. I don't know. It's just another day.
I'm with you. I'm right there with you, man.
Yeah.
The people who announce it are also the ones that get offended when like you don't say happy birthday. Like if you knew it was someone's birthday, but maybe like you weren't that close to them and it wouldn't really make sense to go out of your way to like wish them a happy birthday. They might be offended by that. I was never someone that was like expecting a birthday call or text like from anyone. And some people do. Some people, if they don't get it from that certain someone, like they're going to remember that. Like you you didn't wish me happy birthday.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know. I've never been like that though.
When it's your friends, I guess sometimes it does stink. But once again, if I'm not going to broadcast it's my birthday, I can't be mad at somebody else for not wishing me a happy birthday. You know what I mean? That's kind of on myself,
Right.
I guess.
Right.
So I don't know. Birthdays come, birthdays go. Like AJ said, for most people out there, in my case, May 11th is just another normal day of the year in the springtime. So I don't see why I should really make it a big deal. I guess it's nice to go out, maybe grab dinner with family or friends on that particular day. But other than that, just another day on the calendar year, man, for everybody else besides yourself.
Just another year closer to death.
Another year. Well, okay. Come on, Jack. Let's be a little bit optimistic. Let's be a little bit optimistic here. We're another year to look back and celebrate what you've accomplished in life. I'm joking. But anyways, guys, once again, thanks for joining the show. Fresh off a big win. It was a series loss, but there was a particular game in there, game 2, we're going to focus on mostly today. That was a big win for you guys. No Grant Miller at the Meadows for the D-backs versus Magic series. Big loss. I'm sure that one kind of stung for the both of you heading into it.
I was bummed that Grant couldn't be there, number one, because I know, how much he wants to be there and show up and play the games, obviously. But I was also excited a little bit. Maybe AJ would agree with me. I think it was a really good opportunity for our team to kind of show what we were made of. Other than Grant, we've gotten a lot of flack, I guess I would say, or we've seen the stats and the comments. Grant's clearly been a big part of our offensive production this year, and not having him there at the Meadows, I think gave a lot of people, including AJ here, some time to shine.
Yeah, it's tough because he's not only such a good player, but he's also just so helpful and really just a great dude all around. So anytime he comes, he always lights up the field. So beyond that, but yeah, it was nice to just get to play all three. It's one of those sports where you have to get reps. I mean, it is. That's so hard. But yeah, so seeing pitching is always nice. Getting to face Norp and Flood, 2 really good pitchers. So it's good to see good pitching. Just glad I could at least get 1 or 2 hits.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
But yeah,
I mean, at the plate this year, it's been a slow start for most of the Magic roster outside of Grant Miller. But
100%.
AJ, in this series, that was a big moment. That was very much like a nail in the coffin home run in that second game to pretty much solidify your guys' win in that game with RJ on the mound, which would in turn eliminate the D-backs from the 1-seed contention. So that's going to put them in the NLDS. So that was a big moment, and it was, for those of you that remember the Curdy home run off of Norp 2 years ago that saved the Magic's playoff hopes. In this case, it wasn't quite that drastic for you guys. But the 2 moments were very, very similar, guys. If you go back and watch, in 2021, I want to say it was Jonah Heath on the mound for the D-backs, and the D-backs wanted to win that game to get themselves the 1 seed. And then Heath walked a few batters, and then Norp put himself into the game thinking he could close it out. And then Curdy hit the walk-off bomb. Whereas in this case, Norp came in for Flood, and then AJ, you happen to be the hero for the Magic. But overall, AJ, I just think that, watching you at the Meadows, you do put decent swings on the ball. Objectively speaking, probably better swings than Jack does at times. Sure, Jack might get a hold of a few more than you do, but I think AJ's swing might look a little prettier
Time will
at times. Time will tell. But have you, despite the numbers not being that great, I think you're only hitting $125 right now. Do you feel like you're beginning to get more confident at the plate?
Yeah. It's just, it's so unique. It's complete, I have a baseball background like a lot of these kids do and who play here, but it's just so much different in the movement, your swing path. I mean, so yeah, it's just kind of adjusting to the pitching, seeing kind of pitching tendencies, having both Grant and RJ actually pick up pitchers kind of tells and tendencies really well. So it's nice to always have them in my ear, kind of giving me help with some of their tendencies and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just kind of starting to find some barrels and stuff like that, and not striking out looking consistently, swinging the bat. is helpful.
Okay.
But yeah.
Good to know. Swinging the bat's helpful.
Yeah, that's typically how you make contact.
Okay, noted. I'll keep that one in mind heading into the postseason myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that to AJ's point, like having a guy like Grant be there is his production aside, what he's been able to do from like a communication standpoint and helping us all out in terms of what the pitcher's throwing, what he's looking for, trying to do, just things that we're picking up like throughout the games and series. I feel like what he was able to do with that through the first like 4 series, we were having similar discussions throughout this series where he wasn't there, but we were able to kind of like soak up some of that knowledge and use it as a team. Whereas like in years past, I don't think we've had that. Like I've tried to do some of that, but I don't have anywhere even close to the amounts of experience and knowledge when it comes to facing pitchers, whether it be in baseball or wiffle ball. So I think from a collective standpoint, like a guy like AJ who's had a background in, just putting it simply as like tracking a moving object and hitting it with another object. Like he has that ability. We know he has that ability. It's just like being able to transition from the differences of playing baseball to wiffle ball. And we've seen a lot of people come into this league and come and go. And I always find it really interesting with the guys who play baseball, having not been a baseball person. Like I have the hand-eye from, lacrosse in a sense, but it's not the same as wiffle ball and baseball. But we've seen some baseball guys pick it up really, really quickly. Others haven't picked it up at all. And a lot of the guys fall, somewhere in the middle there. And so from a manager standpoint, I think AJ, would agree. It was nice too. We knew the potential was there, right? It was just finally getting around to it and putting some barrels on the ball.
Plus, yeah, in this case, you guys happen to be facing Jimmy Norp in this series as well as Trey Flood, but I wanted to highlight Norp mostly. I feel like he had one of his better days on the mound this year in terms of the movement. He was really getting that drop ball, the tumble, the riser was good, the slider was good. And this is a team, Kyle mentioned how it could be a World Series preview if you guys were to get there and the D-backs can finish strong again in the playoffs like they have in the past 2 years. Do you guys see the D-backs, as a threat? I mean, you beat him without Grant once, but just what did you learn from this matchup and what can you take forward if you were to play them again? I
mean, obviously they're a threat. They're so good, but yeah, I mean, we stacked up. I felt like we were competitive the 2 games we even lost. I mean, we won 1. So, I mean, Grant, I mean, he's borderline a home run. I don't know his exact stats, but it feels like he hits a home run every other game. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that type of offense combined with the rest of the guys, below him were heating up a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, obviously there's no reason that we wouldn't, compete and aim to win against them. But, yeah, they're obviously a threat. They're so good. So, and even, again, like everyone on their team almost hit really well too, the series we played against them. So it was pretty deep rosters all around.
Jack, what was a bigger loss, you think? Travis Kelce not being on the Chiefs for week 1 against the Lions, or Grant Miller not being there for you guys in the Magic taking on the D-backs?
That's tough because I would say it was Kelce, but I don't want to, diminish the Lions win at all. So no, but I think, what AJ said is very true. We definitely, going into the series, knew that there was a more than likely chance that we would see that Diamondbacks team again. And we considered that, going into the series. I mentioned it in our pre-recorded podcast that we discussed the playoff predictions that we have. But Jimmy actually made a comment before this series when I said, Grant wasn't going to be able to show up, on how he wasn't. And I was bummed because I wanted Grant to be able to, get some eyes on the Diamondbacks pitchers. And Jimmy said, he was going to walk him anyway every time regardless. So, on that note, I felt like we were able to get enough guys on base to have a chance. Like we left a lot of runners out there, especially in game 3, which was kind of, just a sort of a fun game for both sides as it didn't really mean much. But, having Grant being able to get those runs in would definitely make a huge difference. But walking away from that series, I felt like, hey, with our pitching, we can beat anyone. And if we have Grant there on top of what we were able to do that day, I really like our chances if we do end up seeing them again.
Yeah, I mean, this series honestly impressed me too. Once again, like AJ said, you guys lost the series 2 out of 3, did win the game you needed to, and competed all series long. That first game was 1-0 solo shot from Norp. But I feel like I kind of learned a lot too, because I look at you guys, and this is nothing personal, of course, but I'm just looking at you as an observer of the league. And of course, I see Grant's bat as a huge threat, but I see the rest of your lineup, guys like Curdy, AJ, you, Jack. We also see the bat of Bonham in there from time to time. Usually you guys run 4 guys, so usually one of those 4 that I mentioned besides Grant is usually sitting. But anyways, there's no really way to sugarcoat this, but I see some ugly swings throughout that lineup, besides Grant. I see every single one of you guys have taken some cuts where I'm like, oof, I don't know, man. Like, I know Grant's terrific and RJ's been pitching so good, but how is this team going to stack up in must-win games? And so seeing you guys go out there and grind out ABs, and everyone was kind of putting bat on ball. Jack, you hit another home run. AJ, you go yard for the first time. I was like, maybe this Magic team does have something that I'm unaware of, because it seems like you guys strike when I least expect it, which was even a trend before you got Grant and RJ. But now with those 2 tools, with a pitcher who can throw a shutout on any given day, with a guy who can go yard in any at bat, I think those moments of the role players doing things like what you 2 did in game 2 is magnified to enough where it can make a big difference.
My comment on the ugly swings, which
hey, I've taken my fair share of ugly swings too. I've taken my fair share too, Jack.
No, hang on. I just wanted to put out there is 100% true. We might have collectively between me and Curdy the ugliest swings in MLW on a team. Grant and AJ definitely balance that out. Trevor's somewhere in the middle there. I think he's got a pretty standard swing.
He does.
But I guess, what I would say to that is the classic mantra of like wins a win or like hits a hit. Mm-hmm. Like it really doesn't matter what your swing looks like ultimately if we're able to, produce at the plate. And I also think of a guy like, who you would be very familiar with in Noah Dabrico.
Yep.
Not a very pretty swing by any means, but man, did he get the job done. And his name's definitely somewhere in the record books in MLW.
Jack, I'd even put modern day Tom Colgan in that category. I mean, my swing's not very great either. I would like to think it looks better than Curdy's. I hope so, but I wouldn't say it's beautiful by any means. Grant has probably the prettiest swing in MLW, I think. It might be a unanimous vote. Jordan's up there too, Kyle Schultz. But Grant is butter.
Pitchka's a dark
Pitchka,
horse
you're right.
too.
Pitchka's right there too.
Pitchka, sorry.
God, he hits the ball hard.
No, he's got a beautiful swing. I wish I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think it's the golf. Like playing a lot of golf, I think really hurts wiffle ball swings.
It might. I've seen plenty of baseball players that play golf growing up that do have pretty baseball swings too. So, but every guy's different, of course. Every guy's different. But Jack, you're kind of heating up here as of late. I've got since game 2 in St. Louis against the Cobras, I've got you at 4 for 18 with 3 bombs, 7 RBIs. Not a bad stat line for a guy like yourself. You're kind of getting hot here at the right time. What's been the difference for you, in your opinion?
I mean, I'll just call it how it is. Like, I think it just takes me. It like AJ said, it's just a rep thing. Last year I didn't really get to participate in the majority of our games. I mean, I might have had like 10 at bats on the year or something. I don't even remember. I'd have to look at the numbers, but it's not a lot. And I think just as like time goes on in any sport, or like as the game, as it, even an individual game would go on, I always felt like I could, adapt well on the fly. And like, if you look at, I'm also a big advocate for watching film, not only like on an opponent in any sport, but like yourself. And if you guys go back and watch like my batting stance and like posture and everything from like the first 2 series and then like what it was against the Diamondbacks, I mean, you guys will see like what is different. Because honestly, I would go back and watch those videos from like the first couple series and just be like, what am I doing? Like I don't have that baseball background, you know what I mean? So sometimes it's like, if I'm not thinking about the proper way to set up, like I'm setting up wrong and it's just, not working for me. And so just kind of like looking at some old footage of, older MLW days and like what was working for me, trying to get back to that, trying to just be more patient on the swings that, or, the pitches that I'm taking swings at. I mean, again, the stats don't lie. Like I'm a guy that tends to chase rather than walk in this league. And so just like being more disciplined and waiting for the ones that are actually in the wheelhouse to get a hit.
Yeah. Mr. Schultz was indirect tweeting you there that mic'd up, I think.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he was definitely watching that at bat. It's so hard, man, because like the video just makes you look so much worse because the pitches that are so far away from the zone, like a lot of them when you're up there and at the speed that it's coming in, like do not look like they're that far away from the zone or like your swing. And the other thing is like a lot of guys, for example, AJ, like he's a taller guy, like for a pitch to be above the zone doesn't necessarily mean that like he can't hit that.
True.
A lot of guys can, get home runs or hits off balls that, wouldn't have otherwise hit the strike zone. But they're aggressive and they know their spots and when they can take those swings. So I think it's just like balancing that, finding when to be aggressive there and when to, be a little bit more conservative, let the pitcher make mistakes.
Yeah, AJ, you have experience in the wiffle ball category from our tournaments. You played with Brendan Baranowski, I think, starting in 2019 or 2020 at our Wiffle in the Mitten tournament. How did you hit at those events? I don't really remember particularly how you did.
I hit pretty well my first 2 or 3. And then when we moved into not the first time we moved indoors, but I think the last 2 tournaments I have actually struggled. Because last year was so much, I guess, not this past tournament, the tournament before. It was basically walk or strikeout. It was a lot of kids just throwing as hard as they can, and they didn't have much control of the balls. I don't know. I think there was something like I don't know why. They didn't like how they were moving or something. And then this year's, we just didn't make it very far. I think I walked a little bit and then got like 1 hit. I think as a team we only had like 4 hits or something on the tournament. So yeah, it's basically the level of competition has went up, and as that started happening, I've started struggling more. Is really how simple it is.
Story of my life.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
All right, that's fair. When was that? So you guys, I think you played at the first ever Wiffle in the Mitten at Legacy. Was that in 2019 or so?
I think that was our first, yeah.
And what was the squad? It was the Baranowski brothers, you, and then was there a 4th member?
Yes, it's always Brady to bat.
Brady.
Has always been our 4th, yeah.
And was it after, I think the second year was when Baron got drafted, because he got drafted in 2021. Were you a little upset that you weren't on that draft board in that conversation, or what were your thoughts on him entering the MLW space? And I guess how familiar even were you with what MLW was from a league standpoint?
I wasn't familiar at all. I obviously knew you guys put on the event, but I wasn't familiar with how big it was, kind of the events that you guys threw. I didn't know you had a field, if I'm going to be honest. Brendan drove me to the Meadows that year.
Oh,
and
really?
showed me the field. Yeah. And that was pretty cool to see. Or I guess where you play. I think you take it all. It was taken down or something.
Yep.
But yeah, it was kind of, I mean, that's what Brendan loves wiffle. I mean, he That's his sport. I mean, he played hockey when he was younger, but he loves it. And he watched that stuff, and so it was actually cool to see. It was cool to see him get drafted into that, and then Chris and I followed a couple of years later. And yeah, I don't know. It's just been fun to watch we started playing when we were like 12 in a local Grand Rapids league, like wiffle ball tournament that we'd always play in. Cool. So yeah, it's just fun to see the evolution of it.
It's funny to hear you call him Brendan and not Baron like we all do.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Are you guys related?
Yes, we're cousins.
First cousins?
Second
cousins. Okay, that's kind of cool.
Second cousins, yes.
I didn't know that.
There you go.
Really?
No, I didn't know that.
Oh.
I mean, maybe you told me and I forgot, but I didn't know that.
I don't know.
That's funny. So, I mean, obviously you're not new to wiffle ball, but you are new to MLW. How would you just describe, coming into the league and what maybe your expectations were before and how those have, kind of changed?
Definitely a surprise. I mean, like you said earlier, you watch the videos and you kind of think, oh, that doesn't look that bad. It's you see these pitches and you're like, I've seen that pitch kind of before, and I've seen like minimally Brendan, like when we would play. I'm sorry, Baron.
You can call him Brendan. It was just funny.
Yeah.
He would throw it. He would throw from probably 42, 45 feet, somewhere around there. So then you get there. The speed limit being 72 is definitely deceptive because it feels like it's 90 miles an hour with pitches moving in ways that they shouldn't be moving. It's impossible. I mean, it's just so hard. So just seeing, I think our first series was Gators. So just seeing even that first time of Gators pitching, seeing kind of a true, the 38 feet, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
38-foot drop ball and sliders, and just hard.
It is difficult. No way to sugarcoat it. And I think I've been proven that and been humbled the last two series because, I went to Philadelphia and hit 4 home runs. I'm like, God, I felt like I could hit anything that day. And then come back here to Michigan and I haven't been able to hit anything in the last 6 games I've played in. So it's difficult. I think, I don't know. I wonder what the perception is of people. I know people on TikTok, like surface level fans of MLW who just like see the stuff and are exposed to it and aren't like really, really involved in the week-to-week content. I always see the comments like, yeah, I could hit this, blah, blah, blah. But I wonder what the general consensus is of the fans that watch versus stepping into the batter's box in MLW. I'm trying to think because, of course, I watch the videos too. I think reaction time's a little quicker than you'd think it'd be. I feel like watching it on camera versus actually being in the batter's box, it's way quicker. I feel like the ball gets on you so fast. And movement-wise, I think it's hard to describe a bit, but on like a Jimmy Norp drop ball, for example, like the angle of the ball to the plate, to the zone, I should say, through the air is so difficult for you as a hitter, swing path-wise, to like make solid contact on that ball. I think it's hard. You
saw me try to do it in the video. Like, I knew it was going to be a strike and I couldn't hit it.
Yeah, I think it's hard to appreciate just because in baseball, curveballs move a ton. Major league pitchers can really spin it, but because of how much faster a baseball moves through the air and how much less drastic the movement is, like balls that are strikes in Major League Baseball are usually at least somewhat in your hitting zone. Yeah, if a pitcher's totally spotting up, like it's a little tough, but for the most part, you can read and react as a hitter, and it won't be like that much different of a swing. Whereas even a drop ball off the logo on our strike zone can be literally crossing the plate like at your neck, if not higher, and coming from your eyes. Like it's coming down so quickly. The ball is moving so fast and just over half the distance of, Major League pitching's from 60 feet and a half, and we're at 38 feet. So the ball is moving more and in a shorter time span. So the balls that are crossing the plate as balls are pitches that you have to hit. So I think that's something that's a little bit hard to understand too. You can kind of tell sometimes from the little side angles we show at home plate, but sometimes you think that drop ball, it's not like the drop ball off the strike zone is just on a tee for you when it crosses the plate. It's at your eyes and you're trying to hit it. So that's tough.
Yeah, I mean, to just add on to that, like having the angle from behind the plate, you don't always get to, you don't get the best glimpse as to how late that movement really is. And the other thing is like, definitely, obviously pitchers in this league have really good control, but I think if you asked a lot of them, they would admit that, the balls sometimes don't move how they thought it would, either for good or for bad. And so a lot of times it's like you might get 3 pitches where the pitcher throws the same pitch, and it's like it starts in the same spot, it's coming in at the same spot, and then at the very last second it goes a completely different direction than the first 2. And so when those ones end up in the video as like the strike 3, and it's like an obvious ball, it's like, what are you swinging at? It's like, well, I just saw that same pitch, hit for a strike 2 times in a row, and then it does that late at the end, and then you look like a fool. And so, I mean, I think that's part of it, just kind of echoing what you said there, Tom, is how quickly how quickly it can move, but also like the how late it moves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Back to you, AJ. I wanted to also ask you while we had you, given that you're somewhat of a reserved guy. Once I got to know you, you're a little bit more talkative, but I wouldn't say you're the most like outgoing and burst of energy type dude in the room. Were you at all hesitant to come into MLW and join the Magic, not knowing anybody else on the roster, when you got that DM or call or whatever it was back this offseason? Was that something you jumped on right away, or did you think about it a little bit?
I think I had been approached a couple of years before about joining the league too.
Okay.
And I had said no, it just wasn't the right time or something, just didn't want to do it at the time. So this time around, I was kind of I thought I was going to have a lighter summer, but it ended up not being a lighter summer. And so I was kind of just like, why not? I mean, you're not going to get this opportunity again. So, it's wiffle ball. Why not just have fun with it?
And are you happy with where you ended up? You like everybody on the Magic and the vibe?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's a straight up egoless team. I mean, everyone is just there to top to bottom. And it's just great people. No one is there for, no one's mean. And that goes for all of Major League, all of MLW. Like every time you get to a series, both teams, introductions and how you doing, and so it's a nice like community kind of.
Yeah, I would agree for sure. Definitely some friendly fellows in the league.
But on the Magic specifically, I mean, I think RJ's probably the nicest walking 15-year-old now on this side of the Mississippi, and I don't think you could have a better mentor than Grant. Grant's the nicest guy. Grant's going to be a great dad, and I enjoy everyone on the Magic's presence. I think it was fun to travel with you guys to St. Louis. What was that like, AJ? What do you think St. Louis?
It was by the way, shout out to the Gateway Grizzlies. That was an awesome event. I wish we would have gotten to watch the baseball game.
I know, me too.
But yeah, rain ruined that. That was a fun experience. I mean, definitely kind of gives you a taste of kind of what it's like to be in these pro sports leagues, and kind of the challenge of travel and all that stuff. But no, it was fun because I got to go with obviously Brendan and Chris, who I know.
Some good cousin bonding, some family bonding.
Yeah. Yeah. Not much else to say then. It was a fun experience. It was cool. It was very cool to see the fandom. It was signing autographs for that many people kind of really brought it to light of even just in St. Louis, I guess, of how much people love this.
I have to think that this Thanksgiving, MLW is going to be a major talking point amongst the family Thanksgiving between you, Chris, and Brendan.
Yeah, it's kind of... Brendan texts me after every game. He always wants to get the lowdown on the series. He texts Grant, too, because they play together in KWL. Or play with each other. I don't know. Not sure, but...
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, he's always interested to see how things go, and so yeah,
cool.
He loves it.
That's cool.
He does love it.
Let's get into the comment of the week this week. AJ, you're gonna love this one. I want your response ASAP. It says, "Is Ackerman's smile broken, or is he just mad 100% of the time?"
I smiled.
You did. I got a picture of you smiling.
It's actually so weird. Like in non like competition, I will smile every like 10, 15 minutes. I love smiling. But for some reason, I don't know why, I just get into like those areas and I kind of just go even keel. I don't know if it's my years of playing sports and being taught just to stay even, the classic don't get too high, don't get too low. I don't know what it is.
I'm with you there. Maybe I'm not because they see me smile in the intros a lot, but I feel like if I was exclusively a player, I think I'd be kind of known as a grump too, to be honest with you. I'm a pretty even keel guy as well. I definitely know, like in baseball, my parents always said, like, you look like you're mad out there. Like, you don't show any emotion ever. I don't know. It's just how I play.
Yeah. After like I get a hit or a strikeout, I'm mad.
Either way.
I don't know why.
I will say, to AJ's point, on kind of staying balanced as an individual, but as a team, that's been a point for us this year. Just, always emphasizing to each other about staying balanced, right? And not getting too high or too low. And just from looking at the team, from a broader landscape, I think AJ, whether he's trying to do it or not, just always being more calm and reserved, I think helps our team overall when we've got some guys like, myself, Jordan, who can definitely get a little bit more energetic and amped up. So I think it works well and definitely keeps us where we're supposed to be.
And to add on to that, I mean, you look at the start of our season, we lost our first game 8-0 or something like that.
Yeah.
8-1, 8-0.
Yeah,
got shelled.
I mean, we could have just kind of heads down, packed it up right there. Last place again. But, turned it around, stayed up,
Yep.
let RJ take the mound.
I'm trying to think of who the most.
Never look back.
Who's the guy with the most smiles in the league? I feel like Brennan Russell's up there. When he hits a home run, he's ear to ear around the bases. I feel like he's the happiest guy out there. Except for, I will say though, in Philly when he homered, he didn't look that happy. I think he was upset that they lost the series and that we kind of poured it on a little bit. But usually when he homers, he's smiling from ear to ear. Trying to think of who else comes to mind a little bit. Norp shows a lot of emotion. I wouldn't say it's smiling specifically. I feel like Russell's just pure happiness.
Yeah, I was thinking of I feel like Jonah is like the same as AJ, where he's like Jonah's like always. I feel like when we're not playing, he's always smiling, and then once like the game turns on, he's just like so locked. Like you watch him, he hits a home run, he's just straight face every time.
Yeah, I think Jonah is so more dialed than the people think he is. I think he's a totally locked in guy. I noticed this year, and I did not notice it in the past 3 or 4 years, whatever it's been. He's been in the league, but like they are such a superstitious bunch, and they're such gamers. I noticed when they do their coming down in between innings, when they throw it down, to second base like it's a baseball game. Every single time it's Jonah standing there next to the strike zone, and he goes, "Shima, coming down, bro," and he says it the same way every time, "Coming down, bro." Coming down, bro. And it just, once I noticed it, then I couldn't unhear it in every inning then for 5 slates this year. I just noticed it and I found it funny. And I never brought it up to him, but I feel like they're just such a superstitious bunch. And I agree. He's a business trip type of guy out there on the field.
I think just with how competitive the league is, man, you gotta be able to have fun, but you gotta be able to dial in for sure when the time comes.
That's what I was going to say, Jack. I didn't bring this up when you talked about your recent success. Maybe this applies to you too, AJ, but I feel like for me watching you, I guess success does bring this, but I think since St. Louis, like you were hitting lefty and interacting with the fans, you've been playing pretty loose. I think that's helped you out a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. And back on my comment about going back and watching some of the earlier series in the year, just watching myself looks like I'm, like you said, kind of playing too tight, like pressing too much, trying a little bit too hard instead of, the cliche term, let the game come to you, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's true to a point, you you can't go out there and take everything. Like, you gotta, all of them, take what the defense gives you, like blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be able to go out there and stay relaxed.
I've struggled with that term, I feel like, my whole life, Jack. I don't really know where the balance is there, where you draw the line, because it's like, yeah, it goes for life. Like, everyone's like, everything happens for a reason, whatever. But I feel like sometimes you do got to take it, Jack. Sometimes you do got to go out there and get it a little bit.
It's a balance. It's a balance for sure. But the great athletes, I think that's why they are great, is because they can master that. They don't overextend themselves to mistakes, right? They do what they're supposed to do 100% of the time, and they let their opponent make the mistakes. And when they see an opportunity to capitalize, they execute, like we've talked about, right? How important executing is, right? In wiffle ball, but in any sport and in life, you got to be able to recognize the opportunities before you can execute.
Well said. Well, AJ, any final thoughts from you on the series, the season, going into the playoffs? You guys are the 1 seed. Let's be honest, boys. Who do you want to face? It could be any of the 3 teams. Everyone in the AL still has life. These next 2 series will tell us who makes it and where they're at. But who do you guys want to see? Who do you not want to see maybe in the AL?
Give us anyone. Come on.
Come
on.
There's the confidence.
Give us anyone. Yeah. I mean, everyone's tough. It's 3-inning games, 1 home run wins or loses games. Playoffs are always kind of who knows, throw it up in the air. So, we have confidence in our 2-3 pitchers who have done amazing all year. Grant is always going to produce. The rest of us are heating up. So it's just kind of, we got to worry about ourselves, be confident against whoever faces us.
Agreed. I think we take on anyone. Trying to be as honest as possible, I would say I think that the Wildcats would probably be the toughest matchup for us.
Okay. Interesting.
Just because I think Pearson, has been having a solid year on the mound as a number 2, and they just have. I know Saylor hasn't been having the year that he's expected and that they've expected of him, but I know he's still got that dog in him, and that lineup is really a gauntlet. I mean, they just have a lot of experience now, and so I think we'd probably match up against them the worst, I think, out of the teams in the AL. Not that I don't like that matchup, just out of the 3 teams, I think that we match up against them the worst.
Okay, interesting. Well, for the record, if you guys weren't aware of this listening, they did beat all 3 of the AL teams this year in the regular season. The Cats series for you guys was 2-1, and the only game the Cats won was the walk-off home run from Pearson. You guys took care of business against the Cobras in St. Louis, 2 out of 3, and then you swept the Preds on that very, very rainy day earlier this year. So you guys have done well so far against your AL opponents. Your only series loss has been against the D-backs without Grant Miller, so you're yet to lose a 3-game series with Grant. So assuming Grant makes it for the playoffs, you got to like your odds. Like I said, I've had my doubts about you guys throughout the year, specifically because of the offense. But you have the tools, I think, to not only win the pennant, but also get to the World Series. So wish you fellas the best of luck. You're a good bunch. Hard not to root for you guys.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
No problem. But thanks again, everyone, for tuning in this week. Coming up in the MLW calendar, no real major announcements. Once again, we do have a World Series announcement coming in a couple weeks, and then we'll be at UWIFs in York, PA again, October 7th and 8th. I think it is. Maybe the 6th is the Friday, but the information for that's on MLWWiffleBall.com. We are going back to Houston, if you guys were unaware, this winter season. I think it's the first or second weekend in December. We'll be there for the Texas Rumble tournament again in Conroe, Texas. So those are kind of the major things coming up. Once again, they'll be on the lookout for that World Series announcement. That's some big news for sure. Other than that, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Casey Bennett recently painted his chest for a Missouri football game. We will see you all next week.
Pipe it up.